very quickly, the rest of us would disappear, because we find now more and more that each element of our environment is supporting, plays a supportive role in every other element. We are all interdependent. So clearly, that didn't just happen by accident. I mean, if it were the case, then it seems that we could just cut off and get rid of half the things we just didn't want. We just didn't desire. Somebody might decide, oh, why do we need this mountain? Let's just shear it off and get rid of it. Well, we have found out in times, years passing, what the detriment is of deciding to just up and change something. Like many times people have decided, well, we don't want this river here because we want to build a house here. We want to put this city here. Well, that may work out for the first 50, 60 years, but then when that 100-year rain comes, that torrential rain comes, guess what? That water is going to go where it was designed to go, whether those houses are there or not. We have learned that if we build houses too close to the ocean, and hurricanes come or waves come, those waves are going to go where they were determined to go, regardless of whether those houses are there. We have tried to build, and have successfully in some cases, built tunnels through mountains. And then it amazes me how we can be so astounded and surprised when the tunnel caves in. We can build roads in places, but if you leave those roads unattended, the weeds and the dirt and the soil and the surrounding elements will eventually grow over that road. So we have a tendency to want to just up and change things, get rid of things. Oh, ants, we don't need ants. Roaches, we don't need roaches. We certainly don't want them in our houses, right? But then we realize that if those ants weren't functioning, even termites have a function. All of these creatures have a function and a purpose. And that just didn't happen by accident. And you, my friend, were not an accident. You did just not spontaneously combust out of several different elements in a haphazard fashion and just land here. You were designed. God designed us with a purpose. And I hope to explore in later episodes what our purpose is. And that all of these elements, all of our atmosphere, all of the environment that we see things changing in, all of these changes have a purpose. All of these activities have a purpose. I don't believe there are just, coincidences. I don't believe, even though I have studied statistics and I understand mathematical numbers, I also realize very clearly that while all of those numbers are out there, and pretty much numbers are abstract ideas, but if we didn't have the measurements, we would not be able to make order of events, places, buildings. Everything we have in our lives, we measure, right? You measure your blood pressure, you measure your oxygen level. People are measuring their steps these days. You wouldn't think of building a house if you didn't measure. You wouldn't think of, no one would think of building a car without measuring. Tires have sizes, measurements. All of these things are ordered. Do you really think that all of this order came about spontaneously? I mean, one would think that if everything was just spontaneous and just an accident, a freak of nature, as people have referred to things happening, if all of that was just an accident, if all of it was just spontaneous, if all of this was just happenstance, just one day it wasn't and the next day it was, would it be as ordered as it is? Would there be as much pattern? As we remember from reading the scripture, God says in Exodus, he says the pattern, and he mentions pattern twice, if not three times. This would all be in the pattern thereof, as we just read in Exodus. When he gave Noah the design, he gave him specific directions about the pattern for the wood and the building, the construction, 1, 2, and 3 stories. The tent of the tabernacle is all in patterns. The length of the tabernacle is twice as long as the width of the tabernacle. There's the inner court and the outer court. There's a pattern. All of these activities, all of these designs, all of these things that God asked us to ask his prophets to build were all patterns. And as you begin to study different elements of prophecy, you will see that there is a pattern. We can see that there was a flood for 40 days, right? And then there was Enoch for 40 days, and Moses for 40 days, and Jesus in the wilderness for 40 days, and the Israelites for 40 days. 40 years, actually, excuse me. So why 40? Why 3 days? There's a pattern. God designed everything with a pattern. And I believe it's in Ecclesiastes that not only does it say that there's nothing new under the sun, but it also says that there is a pattern, a time, and a season to everything. Nothing is happenstance. You are not happenstance. Nothing was just poof out of the air. Nothing is accidental. You were not accidental. You were planned. There is a plan. And the Bible helps us to understand, in part, what that plan is. And I hope to continue to explore with you in the next few episodes the design and the plan that God has for you and for me. And hopefully we will gain an understanding about where we are in that plan. Thank you again for joining me in this live broadcast of Basically It's Biblical. And I hope that you will begin to see that just about everything, if not everything, in our lives is biblical. Thank you again, and have a blessed evening. Bye-bye.